Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Long,
I'm Ravi.
And I'm Lauren Maddox.
and we're going to speak to you today about exploring the millennial generation, specifically about the Net Gen and how to work well with this emerging group of young employees. Ravi's going to start things off by talking about how to target and recruit the Net Gen candidates.
Hi guys. Main focus for any organization lies on the improvements the particular organization is looking into and analyze them accordingly. Next comes how well to reach out to the people to let them know about the openings at their place. Here, the advertising and also the career fair is one of the most important things. Alumni from different universities are of good help in conducting a career fair. After that, the most important part is recruiting. Depending on the requirement, the organization needs to categorize the skills based on experience, education, certifications, etc., and conduct a good round of interviews based on different expertise such as business, technical, other things. Again, the alumni plays a key role here as they have a good idea who can be the right match from their university. After recruiting, the next important thing is to retain them. This can be done in several ways, such as supporting them to do domain certifications, which will not only help them but also the organization. One personal example where I can tell you is while I was working in India, it was mandatory for all the employees to be certified on one or the other domain, as that would help them to showcase the skills of their employees to the clients and get the project signed. One more way, one more way to retain is to give them a hike in their monthly salary or maybe a yearly bonus. Another important thing is always keeping them engaged with kinds of challenging opportunities. And lastly, but not least, the highest priority must be given to work culture, without which it is a sheer waste of time. I'm sorry, it is sheer waste how better any organization fares on talent of their employees. On the personal front, I see there's a lot of difference in this regard between India and the United States. In India, the quantity and the quality of the work matters, while I see here the quality of work is given a higher preference. Next, Brad Long is going to take along through the presentation.
Thanks, Ravi. Next, I'm going to speak about work scheduling rules for the Net generation. Freedom is a given to the Net generation. It's always been present for them, and it's something they expect out of life and their career. This is very evident if we look at the average tenure a Net Genner typically has at the company they work for. It used to be that you went to school, found a job, and you worked for this company a long time. Sometimes you even worked there your whole career. Now, largely due to Net Genner's need for freedom, they are much less loyal to their employer. They move jobs very frequently, and their average tenure is only 2.6 years. Their need for freedom is evident not only with how quickly they change jobs, but also with how and where they work. This generation is used to using technology to make life more convenient for them. They see no reason that work should be an exception. They don't think they should have to conform to the typical 9 to 5 day at the office when they can work at home utilizing technology. Smart employers like Facebook and Google are realizing this and becoming much more flexible with their employees. One way to foster the feeling of freedom and innovation to the Net Gen is to free them from unnecessary meetings and administrative tasks. This generation, while extremely innovative, is also very efficient. There's no faster way to suppress a Net Genner's creative spirit than to bog them down with inefficient meetings. Good employers are maximizing the time that Net Genners do spend in the office, while freeing them up to work outside of the office the rest of the time. But the Net Genners need to see this flexibility not only in company policies, but also in how they are paid. For example, in many workplaces, those that work the longest hours are considered to be the highest performers. This doesn't fly with the Net Genners, who want to have their cake and eat it too. They want the flexibility to not work long hours at the office and have their ratings and pay based off the value they provide, not the hours they work. This comes back to their spirit of working and being efficient.
Okay, guys, I'm going to be talking about technology and the NetGen. Technology is rapidly changing and expanding, making the opportunities for the use of technology in the workplace the biggest learning curve out there. The Net generation naturally avoids this learning curve because they literally don't remember a day that didn't involve technology. As Tad Scott says, the Net generation is bathed in bits, and their brains are physically changed as a result of their digital immersion. As a result, this group of employees is very efficient at multitasking, both in their work life and personal life, making the way they function very different from previous generations. Technology is literally an extension of themselves and is the essence of the way they communicate both at work and play. The Net generation is bringing to the table a knowledge of technology that many of their senior coworkers do not possess, making them increasingly valuable members of the team. Social media is not just for recreational use anymore. It is transforming how businesses do business. No longer do we have to rely on the messages that businesses carefully design in their marketing meetings about a new product or a job opportunity. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, podcast, and blogs are the new sources of information. The NetGen questions everything and can rely on their peers to provide this information readily. For example, on Indeed.com, you can read and write reviews of businesses before even deciding if you want to work or even interview for a company. Individuals can use their extensive Facebook and LinkedIn networks to get the real story about a company's culture, management, and how satisfied people are with their jobs. Advertising, too, is transformed by social media and the NetGen. Not only are companies no longer able to really control the information that is so readily available about a company or product, but they are also having to rethink the ways they communicate the messages they want out there. The technology resources for the NetGen are endless and ever evolving. Most NetGeners have their go-to favorite technology in social media, but no NetGener relies just on one type of technology. Members of the Net generation don't ascribe to the one-size-fits-all approach to technology, but demand customization and personalization. The Net generation is constantly utilizing technology and usually using more than one type of technology at once. All this without even thinking twice about it and able to stay on topic and track. The Net generation is a generation of multitaskers, and what would look like disorganization to those outside the Net gen is just a way of life for the Net gener.
Avoiding the generation clash. If left to their own devices, there will probably be a clash of generations between the Net Geners, the Gen Xers, and the Baby Boomers. There are some inherent differences between these groups of people that tend to be sticking points in the workplace. The freedom that the Net Geners demand make the older generations resent them. They resent the fact that these younger employees want to work outside the office, use technology all the time, which often they themselves don't even understand, and they especially resent the fact that come performance evaluation time, their longer hours don't automatically make them considered more valuable. The reality is, though, that if a strong clash does occur, it won't last long, because the Net Geners will simply jump ship. This is evident with the high amount of turnover in this part of the workforce. It's difficult for companies to retain good talent, so Net Geners leaving is a very real threat. This is amplified by the fact that much of today's senior management is ready to retire. Companies need Net Geners, and this is the greatest sort of resentment for the older generations. So for starters, employers need to keep the Net Gen happy. We've already talked a lot about how to do this. They need to promote freedom and emphasize a positive work-life balance. The employees need to be able to move around within their company so they can satisfy their needs to move without leaving the actual organization. Work scheduling rules should be focused on fostering the Net Geners' creativity and innovation rather than chaining them to their desks. They need to be able to use technology in the workplace. One, because it's something they expect, but also because it's how business to new places. At the same time, companies need to help the older generations understand why there's a need for a change in company policies. It is not just to satisfy a needy younger generation. Its true purpose is to create an atmosphere that the younger generation can thrive in and be most beneficial to the business in. These NetGeners are very smart, and this should be showcased in a way that doesn't belittle the value of the rest of the employees. NetGeners love to collaborate. This is a great opportunity to involve older generations and get them working together. Lastly, the workplace needs to be made fun. This is something the NetGen expects, and it's also something that will help to disarm the older generations. Frequent team building exercises and updating work facilities, such as the addition of gyms, will all go a long way in building a cohesive workforce. The NetGen wants to work well and collaborate with older employees. The challenge is making the older generations want to do the same. This concludes our presentation today. We hope that it was beneficial to those looking to understand the Net Generation and how to work well with them. Thank you.